Like the others.
This is where he field dresses his victims. Where the blood drains.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of FBI. Most Wanted, Season 5, Episode 4, Hollow. Recap with the biggest twist and ending explained. Rumai team has been tasked by the Department of Justice to track down a serial killer. The Hollow Man is the moniker given to the serial killer. On a reserve, he preys on indigenous women, and recently, more dead have been discovered. Every one of them was sliced. One of the women's escapes from the murderer constituted the only fresh piece of evidence. Shanoa Fermi is the victim. He promised her a hit, so she got into a car with him. Shanoa worked in sex. She was selling herself to obtain drugs, and it appeared that the Hollow Man would provide her with drugs outright in exchange for sexual favors. Only he broke the agreement. He grabbed her with a revolver. She retaliated violently. After leaving, she hurried back to the petrol station in search of assistance. She added that she had left her purse in the man's vehicle. She added that the Hollow Man shared her Mohawk heritage. She described him as rat-like because he was so short. The FBI investigated gun-wielding Mohawk men. Eddie Latta was located. He works in law enforcement, so he possesses an official gun. His vehicle is the same as the one that took Shanoa. The front seat of Shanoa's automobile still held his purse. This most likely gave them permission to search the car, and Rumai knocked on Latta's door. Latta has a young boy and is married. There are crucifixes all around them. Latta was deeply pious, as was his spouse. Why Latta would specifically target sex workers is puzzling. Even yet, the feds enticed Latta to the residence. He insists he is not the Hollow Man, but they have him detained. It was another person, he said. He added that Shanoa's erratic behavior was the reason he pulled his gun. In self-defense, he pulled the trigger. He has an alibi for the killings. He was charged with violence against Shanoa, even though he was not residing on the reservation at the time. They just knew he was guilty of that one offense. Additionally, the crew resumed their search for their serial killer. Their serial killer took frequent pauses. He committed one murder in the autumn. During the winter, he killed himself 3 times. His kill schedule coincided with the clinic's arrival time in town. It was the only clinic available to those with reservations. Women were the target audience for this clinic. The clinic was being stalked by their killer. He would track down a victim. He would cut their car's tires. He followed them until their vehicles broke down, at which point he intervened like a shining knight. And he executes these women after torturing them for a few days. On that day, the clinic had just reopened. The FBI visited that location. One car had a cut tire that they discovered. They were too preoccupied to realize the murderer had already taken his victim. When Maya's automobile was discovered abandoned by the sound of the road, they were subsequently notified. Her tires had been cut by someone. The target of the Hollow Man is known. Over the following 2 days, he was going to torment her. The FBI needs to locate Maya in 2 days. Maya had a baby. She was 8 months pregnant and warned that, due to her size, she might give birth sooner. Maya was small. The Hollow Man has a thing for small native ladies. The FBI investigated men returning from offshore occupations in collaboration with the reservation police. Hank Fuller was located. As a child, Fuller's mother was taken from him because she wouldn't feed him. That resulted in a persistent issue with eating. At the fish plant, Fuller is employed. While working with Alaska, he became ill. A cancer diagnosis was made for him. He began reading about complementary therapies. At his flat, the feds discovered a book about eating nutritious flesh to improve one's health. Organs that he had taken from his previous victims were also discovered. Maya was seized by Fuller because he wanted to keep her placenta. He arrived at a cottage via car. When the federal agents arrived, she was resisting his attempts to make her consume laxatives. Maya bolted in a single direction. When Fuller spotted the feds, he gave up trying to find her. Maya continued and fell off a precipice. Someone has to save her. Meanwhile, Fuller attempted to hide in a neighboring cabin. He used to cut into his victims at this hut. When the feds kicked down the door, they found a dead woman inside. They also observed that he dropped his knife to pick up his revolver. Fuller attempted to escape by shooting. After a while, he was halted. After his death, the federal agents could focus their remaining efforts on saving Maya from the precipice. Remai pushed himself to the floor. He made it to Maya. Maya was dropped into his arms, and he was lowered down the precipice carefully. For now, she was secure. The task team came to the rescue. Cheryl Barnes went home to find his wife, who no longer wanted to stay in the marriage. Sadly, her wife had made a new friend. Finished. Thank you for watching. Thank you for